In this episode, we're discussing the 4 ways in which you can get clients with no experience.
Welcome to JFDI with the 2 Lauras. This is the podcast for freelance social media managers, where we share all sorts of ideas, tips and strategies to help you to build your business as a freelance social media manager. And in today's episode, we are diving into 4 ways that you can win clients when you have no experience as a freelance social media manager. This is something that Laura and I look back on our times when we very first started and thought we would dive into how we got our first clients and the things that you can do, because this is a question that comes up quite a lot in our communities. This episode, as always, is sponsored by our lovely friends at Agora Pulse.
Okay, so tell me, how did you find your first client?
My very first client came as a recommendation. I put a post on Facebook. As you probably know, Laura and I are massive Facebook fans. We have been on Facebook probably since day dot. And it was probably back in the times where, on Facebook it used to say Laura is rather than just Laura Moore, and you would have to fill in the rest of the sentence. I probably filled it in and said Laura is a social media manager. But I put a post out and just said what I was doing. And does anyone know of anyone who needs any help? And my cousin introduced me to somebody who became a client. Yeah,
so same. I had a conversation with someone I used to work with saying, this is what I think I'm going to do. And, what do you think? And she was like, yeah, go for it. And can you come and work for me? And I worked with her for quite a long time, good few years, and learned so much. It was just about who I know, who was in my immediate world. And we hear this a lot, there's lots of people who think actually finding a client, and obviously this isn't going to always work, but I think people think sometimes finding a client is this long drawn out process, but actually sometimes it can just be a case of telling people what you do.
Yeah. And I think there's a saying, isn't there, that they say it's not what you know, it's who you know. But I actually think that's wrong. It's not what you know and it's not who you know. It's who knows you and who knows what you do.
Yeah.
Because lots of people know us, but if they don't know what it is we do, they can't tell anyone else.
Yeah, get that one on an Instagram graphic.
It's probably been on one in the past, to be fair.
Yeah, so someone in our membership just today, actually, she put a post, I'm going to read it out. And it said, just a reminder to everyone who is in need of leads, don't forget to post on your personal socials and tell your network you have availability. I have just secured my highest value client yet from a single post on Facebook, which is amazing. And all she put on her post was, hello, lovely friends. I've just had a spot open up for a social media management client. If you or anyone you know needs help with their business socials, DM me. That was it.
Wow.
How amazing.
Yeah. I think we do often try and overcomplicate this, don't we? And there is no need. It's just just telling people what it is you do, and, it's maybe who it is you do it for, depending on where obviously you're posting. And just asking people for a referral. Like, your friends on Facebook and your friends and family want you to succeed. They want to help you. So if they know of somebody, they are 100% going to recommend you to somebody. It makes them look good too, doesn't it?
Yeah. And I think sometimes, you might have a dream of the kind of clients you want to work with and the amounts that you want to charge. But sometimes you just have to start, don't you? And you just have to find the clients that are willing to give you that leg up. And, when I was probably the first 12 to 18 months of being in business, my turnover of clients was high, not because I was being sacked, but because I was working with someone going, no, I don't want to work with this business, but I've got enough experience. I'm gone. Next one, right? This is an interesting
Knowing
business.
You, as I do, this makes so much sense with your short attention span.
No, my current clients are like 4 years down.
Okay.
I have settled down a bit, but in those early months, and maybe year and a half, I was really, really pushing to get as much experience as possible, and it was always done in a very nice way. I was able to get my testimonials and that kind of social proof to be able to keep making me move forward and get new clients. But I think you just have to start somewhere. And I think this is something we say a lot. I might get it printed on a t-shirt, because you do just have to start. And yes, it doesn't always tick all the right boxes, but as long as it's someone who's willing to pay you, has good credit, is not going to not pay your invoice, and is someone who is willing to let you just go for it, and, ticks any other boxes that are an absolute must for you, then I think it's worth a punt, don't you?
Yeah, I agree. Definitely agree. So that's number 1 of the 4.
Yeah.
Go and tell friends and family what you do. And whether that's on your Facebook or whether that's in person, whether it's that you're sitting in the hairdresser and you tell your hairdresser, it's literally like telling people what you do and who you're helping, who you can help, and literally ask people for a referral.
Yeah.
If you don't ask, you don't get.
Yeah.
We all know that businesses hiring social media marketers want to see a return on their investment. After all, they probably hired you to make sure their business was being seen by the right people. But ROI is really tricky to prove when it comes to organic social media marketing, unless you can use stone cold data. With Agora Pulse, you can easily see which posts and conversations are driving website traffic, leads, and sales without being a Google Analytics expert. Get 2 months free with Agora Pulse at thetwolauras.com/Agora Pulse and see for yourself.
Okay, so
what's number 2?
Number 2, I think for some people might seem like we're just telling people to suck eggs. For others, maybe less so. But it's to market your own business. And I know some people who are out there marketing their own business might think, like, well, that's so obvious. But I'll tell you now, the amount of social media managers who aren't marketing their business specifically on social media is high. So if you are one of those people who are already pushing yourself on social and marketing yourself, then you are ahead of a lot of social media marketers. So give yourself a pat on the back.
If you're not, consider yourself told off by Laura Davis.
Yeah. If I was looking for a social media manager, I wouldn't hire someone if they're not on social media. I want to go and see what they're doing. And if you haven't got previous experience, if you haven't got those previous clients with testimonials and case studies, that is the best and easiest way to demonstrate that your marketing works. Because if you get a client come to you, then it's working, isn't it? So then you can say, well, look, this is my experience. I've managed to get a lead from you because of my marketing. And I think your own business is a great case study. It's a great example of some of the wins you can share and screenshots you can share. If you're really struggling for that kind of social proof, and you've managed to, increase your following or increase your links to your website from your socials, then you can use that as an example. It still shows that you know what you're doing. And I think having that experience and therefore social proof to be able to share is going to make people prepared to become a lead. They're prepared to investigate working with you. So you've got to market your own business. I just don't think there's any negotiation there.
And I can guarantee that at least one person who hears this podcast will think to themselves, but I haven't got time to market my own business. So if that is you and you're thinking that, let me ask you a question. If you don't have time to market your own business, how on earth do you have time to market somebody else's? Because that is what you need to do. If you want a client, then you have to have time to go and work for that client. And if you don't currently have a client, you have time.
Yeah.
So there is no excuse. And Laura Davis will come and knock on your door if she discovers that you're still not marketing your business.
Maybe.
Maybe not.
If you live in a really, really nice area with beaches and the sun, then I'll come and knock on your door.
And if you live down my road so I don't have to go too far, then I'll come and knock on your door. Okay, so number 1 was tell everyone what you do. Number 2 was market your business. What is number 3?
Number 3 is use directories. So, but I think there's a caveat with that. So, for example, as part of the Inner Hub, our members are on the Meet the Social Pro directory. It's a great directory, even if I do say so myself. And the reason it's a great directory is because we invest in it. So yes, we have members paying us, but we put that straight back into our ads budget, and we are sending business owners, and bearing in mind we're ads managers, so we know what we're doing. We send people to that directory, and we have so many members who have won clients from that directory, like big buck clients as well, and have, it's paid for their membership forever and ever and ever. But so number 3 is to appear on directories, but with the caveat that you just need to make sure that these directories are actually doing something about being found, not just putting loads of people on a directory.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely agree. And when we say directories, we mean like professional directories where the right people are going to find you. Like, people might say, yeah, well, you can go and put yourself on Upwork or Fiverr, but the people who are looking on those places are looking for low value services. So if you want to actually build a profitable business, they're not the right places to be. No. If you want to go and look at our directory, by the way, just go to meetthesocialpro.com and you'll see how that works. And you'll see the difference in that sort of directory and something like Upwork or Fiverr, which looks like you could go and make loads of money and you can definitely win clients, but it's way lower value.
I think things like Fiverr and Upwork is like the fastest way to the bottom, isn't it? Because there's some cheap services on there. So then you end up feeling like you're really expensive. You end up thinking, oh, I'm going to have to lower my fee because I'm really expensive compared to everyone else. And actually, if you look at other people who don't need to advertise on Fiverr and Upwork, and the people who are marketing themselves, and look at their fees, then you'll realise that actually the chances are you definitely didn't have to lower your fees.
Okay, number 4, fourth and final way to get work when you've got no experience.
So networking. And I know that's going to make people
that fills me with dread already.
Yeah, there's people making that reaction. No, but I mean online and offline. Like Laura and I are both people who like to stay at home. We're not big at in-person networking, although I am more than you are, Laura. I think it's fair to say. And you are definitely good at online networking. So maybe if you want to just talk about that, I can talk about my experience of offline.
Okay, so in terms of online networking, it's a case of being in the right places and showing up. So who is it that you want to work with and where do they hang out? Because a lot of times people will think, oh, I need to go and find a Facebook group where I can just go and spam and, put a post in there about my services. That's not the way to get clients. Those sorts of posts, well, they look spammy anyway, but they just get ignored. The way to network online is to just be so unbelievably helpful that people are like, who is this person? I need to go and find out who they are. So when Laura and I very first kind of met, it was because I was networking my little ass off in Facebook groups. And anytime somebody asked a question, at the time it was mostly about Facebook ads, Laura would see that post and rock up and think, oh, good, I can comment on this post. And then she'd seen that I'd already got there first.
All because I would go in time, every single post.
I would go into Facebook groups where people were hanging out, where they were asking the right questions. And the only way that you know that is by going in Facebook groups and seeing what the posts are. And I would turn on notifications for those groups. And as soon as I got a notification, I would go and check and see if that post is something that I can go and comment on.
Oh, so was I. But as I keep saying, my phone...
you're too slow.
My phone must have been slower.
You don't have notifications on your phone. That's the problem.
I did then.
Well, anyway, so that's how I would do it. But it's just about being helpful, like help. Be so helpful that it makes you think, my God, I should be being paid for this. Because the more helpful you are, the more people will like you, remember you, refer you, and, the more likely you are to get work. And it's not necessarily the person who you're helping who is going to give you the work. It's the people who are looking and seeing that you're helping other people that will come to you and go, I've seen you in these Facebook groups. Can you help me with this?
And it's sometimes about who they know as well, isn't it? It's not always about directly speaking to your next client. It's about who can refer people on to you. But I think offline, as in face-to-face networking, it's exactly the same advice, really. There's no point burning yourself out and going to multiple different networking events if actually the people who are going aren't your dream client, if they're not the kind of people you want to work with or feel like they may be good referrers to you. So you just have to be quite selective about who you want to work with. And when I was looking for social media client, like management clients, I would have gone to a very different network. In fact, I did go to a very different networking event than when I was trying to build up my kind of profile of offering workshops and training. And that's because I used to do face-to-face workshops. I would then make sure that I was only networking in areas that I thought were local enough for people to come to my workshops. They were the right kind of level of business. But I would not have gone to those networking events if I was looking for social media management clients, because I was looking for bigger businesses and I wasn't really interested in working with someone on my doorstep. So it really depends what you're trying to get out of it. And I'm not saying this in that you're going to walk into a network room and just shake everyone's hand saying, "Hi, can I be your next client?" I'm not proposing that is what you're saying. All I'm saying is that you want to be in the right networking groups aligned to what it is that you're kind of currently working on or you're trying to build your network for. And there's no point getting that wrong. It's just a waste of your time. It's a waste of petrol. It's a waste of everything.
I would say if you are going to in-person networking events, make sure you're very clear in how you will answer this question. So what do you do then?
You don't say, "I am Laura Davis and I'm a social media manager."
Yeah, because no one cares that you're a social media manager. It means nothing to them. They've probably met 100 social media managers. There might be others at the networking event. Instead, you need to be much more specific, don't you?
Yeah, so I would say, "Hi, I'm Laura and I help business coaches get more leads on LinkedIn."
Perfect.
Much more specific, although I don't do that, just to
Although
clarify.
you would never say that because you don't like LinkedIn and you don't like working with business coaches. So I don't know why you thought of that as an example.
No, Normie. How funny. Yeah, you just want to be a bit more specific. And I definitely think I'd recommend having some tips and tricks up your sleeve as well, because it's guaranteed someone will say, oh, well, whilst I'm talking to you, on my Instagram, blah, 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 blah. And sometimes, like I've had that, and they'll ask me a question about LinkedIn, for example, and I'd be like, "Oh, I don't work on that platform. I don't know. I'm not the best person." You know, don't try and blag it.
Yeah. But there's always one bloke, isn't there, who'll go, "Oh, yeah, give us your best tips then." And you need to be able to answer it, don't you?
Or like proper Cockney then. You don't have that up here. It's much more of a Birmingham chat twang.
So there we go. There's our 4 ways.
So just to recap then, we're telling our friends and family, we're marketing our own business, we're using good directories, and we are networking online or face-to-face or both, whichever you fancy.
So yeah, that's how you can get work when you've got no experience as a freelance social media manager. Let us know how you get on with this as well. We're always hanging out on Instagram, as you probably know by now. So head over to the 2 Lauras on Instagram, drop into our DMs and let us know how you're getting on. And if you've met any of those people at networking events who have gone to you, so give us your best tips then. Yeah, let us know.
And let us know when you win your first client.
Oh yes, but definitely let us know that so we can come and celebrate with you.
Definitely. All right, see you next week. Same time, same place. Bye.
Ta-ra!